Hello, Ryan here, aka Mac, and welcome. In this video, I want to talk about the new upcoming star system, Pyro. As always, a huge thank you to all of my patrons and channel members. Thank you all so much for all the support. It is thanks to these guys that I get to make these kinds of videos, so if you do enjoy my content and would like to support the channel even further, all the links are below. So during CitizenCon, we learned that the next system after Stanton is to be the Pyro system. At CitizenCon, we saw the simple backdrop of what the system may look like, and in the most recent Persistent Universe monthly report, we heard that CIG have actually begun work on the Pyro system, stating that they have started 2 planets. Now we know that the Planet Tech version 4 means it takes the devs around 2 weeks to create a single moon, which is extremely quick and great to hear, as many are concerned with how CIG intend to create the 100 systems that they mentioned when the project begun. But today I would like to take a look at the Pyro system and see what it will have to offer for when we get to explore it for the first time. Now, a bit of a disclaimer, much of the locations of the Pyro's moons, its planets, its jump points, its points of interest, they are still very much in development and will likely change to some degree as they begin to physically flesh the system out. So Pyro has 6 burnt out planets, none of which are capable of supporting life, with every planet at some level of decay. There is also a hint stating that any improperly shielded spacecraft will sustain residual damage from the star while travelling through the system, which will take effect later in the game. Now, it was first noticed in 2469 by a watch officer of an Earth-flagged tanker moving through the Kano system, noting an anomaly about 30,000 clicks off its port bow. Filing a report to the ship's corporate owners, Pyrotechnic Amalgamated. No action was actually taken though until the company were looking to expand its mining territories, and upon exploring the region, they surveyed it to be a system in disarray, difficult to find transportational resources, and an unlikely candidate for terraforming, so it was pretty much left alone. Now, Pyro's star is a main sequence M-class red dwarf flare star, which is apparently going through a prolonged nova phase. There is no such thing as a prolonged nova phase, they are instantaneous, but this they felt would be kind of cool just to bring it in. This means that the sun often flares out 10 times more powerful than our sun has ever produced. Apparently it even produces even more interesting auroras than what we have. It creates an incredible amount of X-ray and ultraviolet radiation every time it does, so it is a dangerous system, but I'm sure it will look incredible. Now, planets-wise, we have Pyro 1, which is a dwarf planet, charred black from the constant violent solar flares of its star. It does say it's difficult to navigate around with anything but the highest quality shields, and no significant mineral deposits have ever been found. This is the planet, actually, that features in Arena Commander's Dying Star map. Pyro 2 is a coreless planet that once held significant mineral deposits like cadmium, titanium, and gravity-forged gemstones, but there was a metal rush which quickly picked the planet clean within 5 years, leaving it as an empty husk. I do wonder if there is any chance of finding the odd mineral. Might be worth the look. For Pyro 3, this is a lava planet with strong tectonic activity, now covered in magma lakes. It is believed to be the only planet in the system that once supported life pre-nova, as it was within the green band. Findings of tiny algae-like fossils have been discovered, and for this reason it was the initial focus of non-profit research efforts during Pyro's initial exploration. Due to the star's nova, it has left Pyro 3 mostly a magma world, and with little left to discover, the scientific community left. Now, Pyro 3 is listed as the potential terraforming candidate by the UEE, although it would be extremely difficult, so no interest in the project ever developed. Now, this planet sounds very interesting. I do wonder if there will be some interest here for us explorers and scientists. It might be worth a nosy, seeing if there are any other fossils or items to discover of its previous inhabitants. This kind of science research gameplay will be very exciting when it comes heading down there in maybe a Reliant Sen, or detaching the Endeavour's Explorer cab to just run surveys planetside would be so cool. Probably a dead end though, with it being mostly covered in magma. So Pyro 4 is a rocky Mercury-like protoplanet that has also been mined clean. It was knocked out of orbit by a celestial body of equal mass and is now slowly being pulled into Pyro 5's orbit. Pyro 5 is a massive yellow and green gas giant that is considered a low-quality refueling point due to the poor hydrogen mix present in the upper atmosphere. It also is the only planet with natural satellites. It's got 6 moons, in fact. Personally, Pyro 4 Pyro 5 and all of its moons are going to look incredible. I'm so excited to be stood maybe planetside on Pyro 4 just to see the monster that Pyro 5 will be looming overhead while a moon or two floats nearby. Anyway, one of the moons is called Ignis. This is the innermost moon covered in deep canyons and dried riverbeds. Ver is rich in carbon and little else. Eor has a crater-ridden surface broken only by a 700-kilometer long streak of slick, shiny obsidian in its southern hemisphere. Fario has frequent earthquakes causing spectacular waves in its lava oceans. Vatra has a thick, high-pressure nitrogen-methane atmosphere which hides lakes of hydrocarbons. And then Fuego has high amounts of iron sulfide in its soil, which turns it into a livid shade of yellow-black. So some very interesting moons there, and it's going to be incredible exploring them just to see what they have to offer, different to what we have right now, I think, with Stanton. The temperatures, they said, on these moons can vary quite a lot due to the star. Generally, they're pretty cold, but when the flare happens, they can heat up. Pyro 6 is the final planet in this system, another proto-planet which suffers little damage from the distant star because it's the outermost planet. Unremarkable, but it is home to where the ruined station is. This is populated by Pyro's only permanent inhabitants. The station begun life as a Gold Horizon terraforming platform, but it was abandoned when it was decided that Pyro was not worthy of terraforming. It was to serve as the hub for the operations in the system. Once the system was generally vacated by the corporate research and mining interests, the dilapidated station quickly fell into use as a meeting place for squatters, runaways and black market dealers. Now over the years, similar to how Spider developed, the system's infrastructure grew and new additions were built, developing kind of a unique subculture. Now it says it's not suitable for tourism, regular trade or even experienced bounty hunters, as the outlaws that crew the station are notorious for their use of violence. Recently released UEE reports do state that the Xeno threat are the current pack in control of the station, but this can change at a moment's notice. Now within the station there is a section known as Corner 4. This is a sequence of former research labs which have been converted into drug factories and no question asked medical treatment facilities. There is also a bar which goes by the name Neutrality and is arguably the only safe place on the station, with the Cousins, a group of armoured toughs, keeping the peace. So there is one asteroid field, which is the Akiro cluster. This is near Pyro 1's Lagrange point, mostly a cluster of blackened asteroids with not a lot to be found anymore, but it does say that there could be some rare minerals still to be found. Obviously its dangerous proximity to the sun makes it very difficult to get to, but maybe worth a look. Now jump point wise, there are 7 jump points, making Pyro very well connected, ideal for pirates looking to hit any number of systems. We have Pyro to Cano, which is a small jump point near the star. Pyro to Terra, which is another small jump point, appears to be located somewhere between Pyro 3 and 4. Then we have Pyro to Castro, which is the only large jump point. Pyro to Osso and Pyro to Hadrian, which are both small jump points. Pyro to Nyx and Pyro to Stanton, as we know, are both medium jump points, all located between Pyro 5 and 6. So from a gameplay standpoint, the introduction of Pyro has many facets. Now firstly, Pyro is an unclaimed system, which means it is not governed by the UEE nor any other alien races. This means that the UEE law does not apply within the Pyro system. This then provides all the pirates with a safe haven, well, a safer haven than Stanton, for them to reside. Now we already see how CIG are tackling the increased criminal threat in Stanton with the CDF, or the Criminal Defence Force missions. Stanton is supposed to be a pretty safe place within the UEE and obviously all of its individual planet security forces, but obviously as this is the only current place we have to play, criminal activity is very high. Opening up Pyro will give criminals a place to live and provide them with more missions and things to do, which should alleviate the pressure a little bit in Stanton from what we have now. Also, once these other jump points to Pyro open up, it'll definitely release a lot more pressure. Obviously piracy will still take place in Stanton, but can you imagine just chasing a bounty to the borders of Stanton and deciding whether or not to pursue them through the jump point to Pyro? Could there be other criminals waiting on the other side for you? That'll be the decision you'll have to make. The Xeno threat are a group that I'm sure we will see more of once Pyro is realised, likely being the main protagonists within the Pyro sort of Stanton divide. I can just imagine fighting them on the Stanton front, pushing them back through to Pyro, or potentially chasing them through the jump point and taking the battle to their homeland. It would be something very exciting to take part in, and obviously if you are spending time around Ruin Station, you will definitely get to know these guys. So the Stanton system has 4 planets and 12 moons, all ranging in diversity and scale as we know. Pyro has 6 planets and 6 moons, with the notable difference being that Pyro's planets and moons will not need as much content due to them being uninhabitable. Stanton, when reproduced using this Planet Tech version 4, took 2 months. Now we know that it takes a single dev 2 weeks to create 1 moon, which was Microtech's moons. Now this means that the creation of Pyro shouldn't take too long. Populating it with points of interest and this Ruin Station and so on might take a bit of time, but ultimately this year the Pyro system may be created. Now whether we actually get to see it in game is another thing altogether. We know server meshing is required before they can realistically have seamless transitions from one system to another. However, it has recently been mentioned that they could make Pyro in its own instance that we can connect to either via the front end menu or maybe make sort of a loading screen within a jump point that you transition over, which would allow us to access it while the complete server meshing system is still being developed. So with that in mind, if they complete the Pyro system this year, which is highly achievable as it does contain less content than Stanton, then we could realistically be exploring it. Once server meshing is in, then we can seamlessly transition between each system, but I would be happy either with just a front-end loading screen or a jump point loading screen to begin with. So that is the rundown of the Pyro system and what we could likely see once Pyro is completed in game. It is extremely exciting to see the new system begin its creation. Do not worry for those who are concerned about populating the Stanton system before creating a brand new empty system, as the teams who generate the content on the planets are not the same as the teams who create the planets themselves. We will see the addition of towns, villages, settlements and other cities and points of interest added to the planets and moons of Stanton continuously as we go, and once Pyro is complete, then they will move on to another system, maybe 2 different systems, and populate Pyro as well. Now I cannot wait to see the footage and images of Pyro as CIG continue to develop it. We heard on a monthly report that they are exploring new landscapes, new terrain, new geology shapes and vegetation, with the team developing Pyro saying it brings the opportunity to create something more otherworldly and dangerous. So I am very excited to see Pyro. But with that said, if you enjoy this kind of content, make sure you hit that subscribe button and I will look to bring more videos of similar ilk. Also hit that like button if you enjoyed listening about Pyro. Tick the notification bell as well so you know exactly when all of my videos go live. And if you want to talk more about Pyro, the game, if you're new, come and hang out with us over on twitch.tv/supermacbrothers. You are all more than welcome. Again, massive thank you to my patrons and channel members. It is because of these guys that I get to focus on these kinds of videos. So thank you all. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.